everybody, it's Jenny, and today I'm excited to share a coffee-themed card for Miss Ink stamps. And for my card today, I'm going to be using these super cute Caffeinated Critters along with the coordinating dies. And here's a closer look at the adorable little Axolotls that I'll be using on my card today, as well as the rest of the critters. I'm going to go ahead and get started by stamping out the axolotl images using my stamping platform. Once I have those images stamped out, I'm going to go ahead and move one over to get a third axolotl. And then to color these guys in, I'm going to use some Olo alcohol markers. I'm going to clean up around the edges of my images using a white gel pen, as well as add some additional white highlights. Next up, I'm going to bring in the coordinating dies to go ahead and trim out my images. And once my images are all complete, I can just set those aside for now and start working on my background. And for that, I'm going to be creating an underwater scene, so I just brought in a piece of light blue cardstock, and I'm going to trim down a panel to a mini slimline size, so 3.5 by 6.5. Once I have my cardstock piece cut out, I can move on to some ink blending, so I'm going to be using some speckled egg, peacock feathers, and chipped sapphire. I just use a piece of washi to secure my panel to my craft mat, and then I'm just going to use my blending brushes to get a nice blend across the panel. Once my inking is all done, I'm just going to go ahead and clean up my craft mat real quick, and then go ahead and use a water bottle to spritz some water across my panel. Then I'm going to add some white splatter using some white acrylic paint. I'm just going to put a tiny bit of paint onto a stamping block with a little bit of water, and then go ahead and tap that across my panel. Once my panel is dry, I can set that aside with my colored images and go ahead and work on my sentiment. I'm going to use the sentiment from the stamp set that says, "Caffeine makes my brain go wee." And I'm going to add that to some black cardstock using some Versamark ink so that I can heat emboss that with some white detail embossing powder. Next up, I can go ahead and add the embossing powder, tapping off any excess, and once that's complete, I can use my heat tool to go ahead and melt those in place. Then I just use a microfiber cloth to remove any anti-static powder, and I'm just going to trim out that sentiment using my scissors. And now that all my pieces are complete, I can start playing around with the layout of my card front. So I thought everything looked cute, just layered across the front, but I thought it needed a little something extra, so I'm just going to bring in some circle dies and cut out some windows. And now once I have those windows, I'm just going to have each of my little axolotls popping out of them. And then next up, I can go ahead and pop up that panel with some foam tape. And next, I'm going to go ahead and add that to the card base. Once I have my panel attached, I can go ahead and pop the backgrounds back into each of the windows. Next, I can start gluing on my images and my sentiment. I also brought in 3 different sizes of iridescent sequins, and I thought that they would give the look of bubbles across the card front. So next up, I went ahead and started adding my sequins, and after I dump them and clean them up, I could go ahead and start figuring out the placement across the card front. Then once I had the placement all figured out, I went ahead and glued them all down. And here is a closer look at my finished coffee axolotl card. I had a lot of fun coloring up these little guys with pinks and purples and adding lots of texture to them and the background. And I think it's so cute how they just all pop out of those little windows. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!